Thank you so much for joining this platform. Remember to subscribe and to share the link with your friends so that you may invite them to this platform. So we're going to discuss enlargement. This is one of the transformations discussed in Form 2 mathematics. And this one is also emphasized in grade 9 mathematics. So we're going to cover this in preparation for Kcse and also for Kcse. Remember, our number is attached on the screen. So as we continue learning, you can always make inquiries about our programs by reaching to our WhatsApp through the number which is on the board. So basically, when you talk about enlargement, enlargement is described using a center of the enlargement and also a scale factor for the enlargement. So basically, to define an enlargement, we talk about a center where the enlargement is taking place, and we also talk about a scale factor. A scale factor for the enlargement. Sometimes the scale factor can be positive, and other times scale factor of enlargement can be negative. So we say this: when the scale factor of enlargement is positive, the object and the image are found on the same side of the center of the enlargement. So if you got the center at this point, for example, and your image, okay, your object is at that point, this is object O, then after enlargement, the image is supposed to be on the same side, the image of the object after the enlargement. Now, the size of the image after enlargement will be determined by the scale factor of enlargement. And we are saying to determine the center of enlargement, you join a coordinate to its image using a straight line, then you repeat the same for another coordinate together with its image. After this now, you find there is a line you've drawn for the first coordinate together with its image, and another line you are drawing for a second coordinate together with its image. Therefore, you are now having two coordinates. Okay, you're having two lines, a line joining, for instance, point A and A prime, the image of A, and another line joining point B and B prime, the image of B. Therefore, these two lines joining a coordinate to its respective image will intersect at some point. That particular point of intersection, remember we're going to see this one in an example. So that particular point of intersection now becomes the center of the enlargement. Now, on the other side, a scale factor of enlargement can be negative. And in such a case, then we say that the object and the image are on opposite sides of the center of enlargement. So with a center here and an object, if we enlarge using a negative scale factor, we expect the image to be on the opposite side. Yeah, we expect it to be on the opposite side. Therefore, now we can basically say this. This is one of the main distinctions between a negative scale factor of enlargement and a positive scale factor of enlargement. Mathematically, we usually say this: the value of the scale factor is the ratio between the distance from the center. We can call the center C. Yeah, if the center can be let to be C, distance from center to the image divided by distance from the center to the object. This one now is irrespective of the sign of the scale factor, whether positive scale factor of enlargement, negative scale factor of enlargement. This is how we find the scale factor. That is how we find the scale factor. Then now, after finding it, you will be able now to indicate the sign behind it. If, for example, you discover that this distance from the center, this is the center, this one is the image. Remember, we'll be getting into a clearer example from a Cartesian plane. But for now, as an illustration, this is what I'm saying. If you pick the distance from the center to maybe point A, center to A, then you pick again from center to A prime. From the same center, from center to A prime. Now you take the distances. You're going to divide center to A prime out of center to A. That is from center to image divided by center to object. But now for this particular case, the value you get, you have to introduce a negative, because you can see with reference to the center, the image and object are on opposite sides. For the first case, you see where we are having the center is here, object is here, image is here. So with reference to the center, image and object are on the same side, and therefore the value that you get after dividing the distance of center to image and center to object, you just write it as an absolute value. It's now a positive scale factor because of the location of both object and image on the same side. Now we can get into an example. As we dive into examples, allow me introduce some of the programs that we are having. For term 3, we are preparing candidates in mathematics. So every weekend, we'll be having grade 9 learners every Saturday from 7:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. That is 1 hour and a half. And for the Form 4s, we'll be meeting every Sunday from 7:30 to 9 p.m. So reach out using our number for more clarifications. These are going to be interactive classes, which will be taking place on Google Meet. So Google Meet classes will be conducted, very interactive, where learners can ask questions, unlike in the YouTube, whereby you can't consult a lot. But now in a Google Meet forum, we'll be able to discuss a lot of things. You'll be able to ask a few questions here and there. Then now we have a powerful program here, which is bringing on board all the compulsory subjects for secondary schools from the 20th of November to 12th December for both junior school and senior school. Actually, for the junior school, when we say grade 7, we mean the current grade 6. When we say grade 8, we mean the current grade 7s. And when we talk about grade 9, we mean the current grade 8s. Therefore, the 7, 8, and 9 grades mentioned here are the 2026 classes in that order. Then we have Form 3 and Form 4, which are the current Form 2s and Form 3s. So they will be Form 3 and Form 4 respectively in the year 2026. Therefore, Term 1 work is going to be covered in the compulsory subjects. This is going to be 5 weeks of interaction via Google Meet. So you can reach out again for consultations. Our number is already attached on the screen. So kindly feel free to reach out. Feel free to consult about our programs. But anyway, you are highly appreciated just for being part of this great family of Shifting Grades online school. So thank you so much, and feel treasured for being part of our great following. Our number is just attached on the screen, as I mentioned earlier, but now we are getting into the examples. It's my belief that we're going to work together through the positive scale factors, through the negative scale factor, and learners together with students are going to understand what usually happens. The coordinates in number 1 of triangle ABC are 1, 2, 1, 1, 3, 1. Then we are further told that triangle A prime, B prime, and C prime as coordinates 3, 6, 3, 3, 9, 3. And it's the image of ABC under an enlargement. Look at part 1. Draw the two triangles on the same Cartesian plane. Then part B, determine the center and scale factor of the enlargement. So we're going now to draw these particular triangles on the same Cartesian plane. So allow me zoom the graph so that the whole domain can be well analyzed. Then I'm going to draw the Cartesian plane. I will start by the vertical axis and also the vertical axis together with the horizontal axis. That is the y-axis. Then we're also having the x-axis at this point. Yeah, the x-axis at this point. So we can now indicate the values. That is the origin. Then we're having a 1, 2, sorry. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then we can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those are enough. Then on the negatives, for the x, we can have -1, -2, then -1, -2 at that point. Now we can go into the business of plotting the two triangles on the same Cartesian plane. The triangles are 1, 2. Immediately you plot a coordinate. It's usually advisable you label it. So A is 1, 2. So 1, 2 shall be this coordinate. That is A. Then for B, it's going to be 1, 1. So coordinate 1, 1 becomes our B. We are also having coordinate C. C is a 3, 1. So 3, 1 shall be here. That is coordinate C. After you've identified all of them, now you proceed to plot to join so that you get the object, the first triangle, ABC. Remember, we are going to plot the two on the same Cartesian plane. Yeah, the two on the same Cartesian plane. So already the first triangle has been plotted. We can proceed to the second triangle. So proceeding to the second triangle, we get back to the coordinates 3, 6. Start with 3, 6, which is a coordinate at this point. This becomes our A prime, the image of A. Then after that, we go to 3, 3 for B. So 3, 3 for B. So B is a coordinate at that point, the image of, B prime, the image of B. Then C is a coordinate at 9, 3. So 9, 3 is at this point, coordinate 9, 3. So this is going to be C prime. You see, we now complete to triangle. So from A to B like that. Then from B to C. From B to C like that. Then from C again to A, so that you may complete the triangle. Now we are having two triangles. And from the look of things, you can see the second triangle has already been enlarged. Therefore, we now get to part 2 or part B of this question, whereby we're supposed to determine the center and the scale factor of enlargement. So how do we determine the center of enlargement? We get to this point. To determine the center of enlargement, you join a coordinate to its image using a straight line. Repeat the same for another coordinate and its image. Then now the point of intersection of the two lines gives the center of the enlargement. Therefore, allow me now practice what I had mentioned earlier for you, with a lot of hope that you guys are still following up. So the first thing is that we can join, if it's A, we can join A to A prime. We join A to A prime. Actually, this straight line can even be dotted. Yeah, A to A prime. And you just prolong to either sides, A to A prime like that. Then you repeat the same for B. B to B prime are joined. Join B to B prime. You can see the two lines are intersecting somewhere. So we just join any coordinate to its image and we prolong. We've done for A to A prime and now B to B prime. It's good for you to remember that B is on this point so that you don't confuse the coordinates here. B to B prime, they have been connected. You can see they are meeting. So you choose any two are coordinate to the respective image and you prolong. At this point, I can also say that we can do the same for C. So this one we are just doing for confirmation, but two are already enough. So with already A prime, B prime, they have already met somewhere and they have shown us the center of this particular enlargement. But now we can still confirm with C. So in case you wanted to join C to C prime, it is confirming that the center is indeed the coordinate 0, 0. Therefore, in this question now, the center is going to be 0, 0. Yeah, the center is 0, 0. So we've determined the center. We proceed to determine the scale factor of this particular enlargement. There's something I said about this particular scale factor of the enlargement. And I said this, you can check the distance from the center to where the image is, then from the center to where the object was. For instance, let me use a different color, and I prefer a conspicuous color. Let me pick the red. Yeah, just for emphasis. So we can pick the distance from the center, which is coordinate 0, 0, as identified, to where point A is. Then just to make your work easy, you don't have to measure the distances. You're supposed to pick the distance using your compass, the distance from A to the center. Then you check this particular distance from A to the center. How many times is the distance fitting in the other distance from the same center to A prime? So how many times will this distance fit in the distance A prime? 1, 2, 3 times. So the distance from the center to the image is 3 times the distance from the center to the object. And therefore, we can say the scale factor is positive 3. So the scale factor of the enlargement here is positive 3, which can, in this case, be written as just 3 because it is anyway positive. Remember, I've just used the line connecting the center to A and its image. When you repeat the same using B and C, you shall get the same. For instance, from the center to B, then you check this particular distance. How many times is it fitting in the distance center to B prime? So it's 1, where B is, 2, 3. So it's fitting 3 times. I can hope that you are able to see the way I'm putting the marks. Then again, look at C. From the center to C, we have 1, then you see twice, 3 times. So the distance is fitting 3 times in all the cases. So for you to confirm the scale factor of enlargement, then you don't need to do the 3 times. You just need to know what you're doing and you choose either A to A prime, then A to this. Okay, we have the center to A prime. How many times can it be divided into? Center to point A. So the distance we've divided here is A to A prime. Then you check A, okay, center to point A. And so you can see this distance fits in this one 3 times. Huh? That is it. That is it. Then we concluded that, look at this. We've concluded that the scale factor is positive because of one reason. After plotting the two triangles, you see the second triangle is here and the first one was here. Then the center of enlargement is the coordinate 0, 0, the origin. So with origin as the center, the first triangle and the second triangle are on the same side. So they are on the same side of the center of enlargement, and that makes the scale factor positive. Yeah, that makes the scale factor positive that way. Let's check another example. Another example on a still positive scale factor, right? So look at number 2. The coordinates of triangle XYZ are 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3. Draw the triangle and its image under an enlargement, scale factor positive 2, and center negative 1, 0. See this one now. Just see this one. We are already provided with the scale factor and the center of enlargement. They are both provided. So ours now is to establish where the image is going to be. Now, this one we're going to do very quickly, and we can watch these. So I'll start with, of course, the axis. So we have the vertical axis there, or rather the y-axis. Then I also do the x-axis. Let me check. Yeah, I do the x-axis. Let me draw the x-axis using a very straight line. Very straight line. I'm trying to zoom the graphical grid so that you may see it very well. That way. Then we have the other axis at this point. You can label them. We have y-axis. You can also label the x-axis to make your work very decent. Your work is supposed to be decent. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Those are enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. With 9 there. 8, 9. Yeah. 9 at that point. Then now on this other side, we can talk of negative 1, negative 2, then negative 1, negative 2, like that. Now we start the business of plotting, first of all, the triangle. Then we will proceed to plot its image on the same Cartesian plane. 2, 1, coordinate 2, 1. Let me change the color. Coordinate 2, 1 triangle. So 2, 1, point X. Then we have another coordinate, which is a 3, 2. So 3, 2, the coordinate to be found at that point, which is coordinate Y. We are having another coordinate, which is 1, 3. So coordinate 1, 3 should be at this point. 1, 3. So this is going to be Z that way. So let me join so that I may come up with a triangle. I choose again certain conspicuous color here, like blue, which can be visible to everybody. So I'm having my triangle complete. My triangle is complete like that. Aha. Now with the triangle, I am supposed to do one thing here. This particular thing is just to ensure one thing, that I identify the center first. What is the center of enlargement? -1, 0. So -1, 0 is the coordinate at that particular point. So how do I enlarge? I connect a coordinate to the center of the enlargement. I connect a coordinate to the center of enlargement. For example, I can connect Z to the center of enlargement. Then now I consider the scale factor. I've connected Z to the center of enlargement. Then I get back to the scale factor. It's a +2. Now with a positive scale factor, then the image and its object, or an object and its image, are supposed to be on the same side of the center. If that is so, then I can see where the center is. So Z prime, the image of Z, is on the same side of the center as its own object. So I prolong on the same side. Just prolong on the same side. Yeah, I prolong on the same side. Then after that now, because of the scale factor, the value of the scale factor, then I'll be able to make a number of moves here. So what do? I come to the center and say, the distance from the center to Z should be twice the distance from the same center to Z prime. Therefore, from the center, I have once the point where Z is, then twice the same distance, so that now Z prime will be at that point. 2 times from the center to Z. Center to Z prime should be twice center to Z. Okay, I proceed. So I can connect another coordinate. And remember, there is no order into which you are doing it. You can start with any coordinate, not exactly the way they have been stated. So you can even start with X, you can start with Y, as long as you will consider all of them at the end of the day. There is no specific order. That's why I started with Z when the triangle is X, Y, Z. Let's now check. Let's check this. From the center of enlargement, from the center of enlargement to point Y, then I move an equal distance on the same side because the scale factor is positive. So this is twice. I call this one Y prime, the image of Y. Then now I wind up with X. The last coordinate now, enlarged, shall be X. Therefore, I'm joining X to the center of the enlargement. X to the center, then I move the same side. I don't know why I have forgotten to change my color. But anyway, we have it right. So you will allow me get back to this particular conspicuous color. I wanted to call it green, but I remembered this might not be green. So I don't want to tie myself to something that I said. Oh, the teacher on YouTube doesn't know colors. My work is mathematics and I know it very well. So I may not clearly tell whether this is green or it is a color very close to green. Anyway, from the center now to point X, I'm moving another distance on the same side. The language of the same side now becomes very crucial in this particular level. So this now becomes X prime, the image of X. After this, now we can join X to Y to Z to come up with a triangle after enlargement. See that? Then now, finally, to point Z. That way. You can see the triangle has been enlarged. Positive scale factor of enlargement. Center, -1, 0. That is it. We can now talk about x, the coordinates now after enlargement. X prime is now becoming okay, how to read coordinates. I know some people, the plotting is very basic for them. So we begin with the y coordinate and also the x coordinate. So when x is at this point, to read coordinates, you do the same for plotting. So to read the coordinate of x, we consider the x value on the x-axis. This is a 5. Then we also check the y coordinate on the y-axis. So you move very horizontal so that you discover that this is a 2. Then for y prime, go where y prime is, this point. Then you check just below that, vertically below that, we are having 7. Then horizontally, you discover that there is a 4 on the y that way. And finally, for the z, you go where z is, which is here. Exactly below that, vertically below that, we are having 3. Then horizontally, we are having a 6. So now, this is how we state the coordinates at the enlargement. But basically, our teaching point is that students and learners are supposed to understand how to enlarge when the scale factor is positive. That is already done, and we are adjusting now. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now adjusting to the negative scale factor. There is something that we said about the negative scale factor, and remember, our number is already on the screen, so you don't have to worry on how you can reach out to us for more assistance in mathematics. There's something we mentioned about a negative scale factor. This one, I want us to take it very serious. With a negative scale factor, ladies and gentlemen, the object and its own image are on the opposite sides, are on opposite sides of the center of enlargement. That's why I go to this to say if this is a center and A is at this point, then A prime is on this point. This is a negative scale factor. A negative scale factor. So we're going to explore this in examples practically so that you may see. As we continue learning, remember we are now in example 2 of this good work. Yeah, we are in example 2. Example 3, that is, we've already done 1 and 2 on positive scale factors. So at this point, I want us to flow together until we enlarge using a negative scale factor. As we continue learning, allow me pose a question to you. Like, how have you been recharging airtime to your own network? Safaricom, Airtel, Telcom. How have you been purchasing airtime? Please apply our method here, whereby you just need to go to your M-Pesa, Lipa na M-Pesa option. Then now the pay bill number is already posted here. Very simple to master. Lipa na M-Pesa, enter pay bill number 737356. Anybody can remember our pay bill 737356. Then after that, now the account number is going to be the phone number that you are purchasing the airtime for. So you enter the phone number. Whether Safaricom, Airtel, Telcom, you just enter the number. Then after that, now you enter the amount, you complete the transaction, and you receive your airtime instantly. So please feel free to utilize our facility here. There are those who are coming late. There are those who are joining the lesson now. And I would like to remind them of our programs here, whereby we are mentoring these candidates, this year's candidates during the term 3. If you are a day scholar, kindly make use of this. We shall be having sessions with the grade 9 students every Saturday from 7:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. Then from 4th every Sunday from 7:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. You can reach out through our number for more consultations. Remember, these classes are going to be on Google Meet, whereby this one now encourages a lot of consultation, whereby from your side, you can ask us something and it's purely on math. So you can consult widely. You can ask us where you don't understand. You can tell us to pause, to repeat, and all that. You can also respond to questions as the program continues. So please feel much invited to this, and we honor you for being part of us. Then for the December, November holiday, we have a serious program here. We're calling it one term ahead program, whereby students are going to be prepared on the work that they'll be doing in 2026. So if you'll be in 2026 in grade 7, 8, and 9, that is the JS of 2026, and the senior school, that is Form 3, Form 3 and Form 4, yeah, feel much invited. Just feel much invited. Please use the same contact to inquire. We're going to cover a lot of work, content-based now, not just revision. Content-based, please reach out. You can register in advance and share your message. Make sure you communicate on WhatsApp through 070415 3366. So you're much invited to our programs. Otherwise, thank you so much. Number 3, ladies and gentlemen, the coordinates of a triangle PQR are P, -2, -3, Q, -1, okay, -2, -1, then -1, -2. Draw triangle PQR and its image P prime, Q prime, R prime under an enlargement scale factor -2. Mark that. -2, center 0, 0. Then state the coordinates of P prime, Q prime, R prime. So let us see how now will we do enlargement with a negative scale factor. Yeah, with a negative scale factor. So let me start it. Let me check the values of the coordinates before I fix myself. Okay. We can have the vertical axis here, which we call the y-axis. Then the horizontal axis, which we call the x-axis. At this point, horizontal axis like this. Then we can indicate we can now choose a scale, a suitable scale in this case. This is the x-axis. Then we are having the y-axis at this point. The x-axis and, the y-axis, sorry. The y-axis is always the vertical axis. X and y-axis, that way. Allow me to start with 0. Then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's enough. For the negatives, you can start -1, -2, -3, -4. Then -1, -2, -3, -4, just like that. Okay, with the Cartesian plane in place, we can start by plotting the triangle PQR. -2, -3, -2, -3. So the first mentioned coordinate is usually the x value, and therefore we are starting with -2, -3. That means -2 on the x, where it meets -3 on the y. The intersection of -2 on x with -3 on the y, that gives us our P. Then we proceed to Q. -2, -1. -2, -1. The intersection of -2, -1 will give us Q. Then we are also having R, -1, -2. So -1 is here, intersecting with -2 at this point. This is now coordinate R. We can do the triangle at this point. So allow me use some red this time round. I like the conspicuous colors, whereby You are not struggling to see. You are not struggling to see. So I will not choose the dull colors for your case. Just look at that. The triangle is already plotted. What is the next thing that we're supposed to identify? The center of the enlargement. And the center is provided. Center 0, 0. So the center is 0, 0, or rather the origin. That is the center, the origin, 0, 0, where the two axes meet, where the x and the y-axis meet. The scale factor again is a -2, not a 2, a -2. So how shall we enlarge in this case? We are going to do this. Allow me use some blue in this case. We connect a coordinate to the center of the enlargement. If it's Q, I said there is no specific order. If it's Q, you connect Q to the center, then you move to the opposite side. So we connect Q to the center, and this time round, we will not move to the side where Q is. We shall target the opposite side. So you just proceed to the opposite side like that. Then now you ask yourself, from center to Q, it shall be the same as 2 times on the opposite side for us to get Q prime. 2 sides, but on the opposite side. So from the center opposite side, using the distance, you're having a compass, so you shall use the distance from the center to Q 2 times. So once, twice. This is going to be Q prime that way. Then we repeat the same for R and for P so that you may get their images. So we join R to the center. We have R joined to the center. Then we extend to the opposite side. Remember, the scale factor is negative. So when we join this time around, we are extending on the opposite side. So from the origin to R, we pick the distance using a compass. Then we start at the center 2 times on the opposite side. Once, twice. This is going to be R prime. That way, R prime. Then now we are on P. We pick P now. Pick P. Pick P. So let's start now. So we stand at P and we join it to the center. We join P to the center. Then after that, now we prolong to the opposite side. We prolong to the opposite side. That way. So we stand at P. We check the distance from P to the center. Then using a very good compass, now we mark off the same distance along the line that we've just extended 2 times. Remember, if the scale factor was -3, we would be moving 3 times. But now that it's just a -2, we move 2 times on the opposite side. So once we will be there, twice we shall be there using a compass. So now this becomes our P prime. So we have now all the coordinates and we can join them to come up with, let me write Q on the other side, Q prime, yeah. So I join, I'm sorry, I want to be very accurate. I want to be very accurate because of the stating of the coordinates. You have to be very accurate, so that you get exact coordinates. You see, my triangle has been enlarged. And so with this, we can talk about now P prime as coordinate. From P, below that we have 4, and horizontally we are having 6. Then that is PQ. So Q prime. Below Q, we are also having 4. And alongside the Q, we are having 2. So 4, 2. Then R prime, which is at this coordinate. Below coordinate R prime, we are having 2. And alongside that, we are having 4. So we have the coordinates properly stated. The coordinates are properly stated. That too. So we've already done it. We have enlarged using a negative scale factor, whereby from the center, we are targeting the opposite side. That is it. Now, I want us to check the last and the fourth example. And in this case, we are having coordinates of object, coordinates of image, so that we may determine the center and the scale factor for this particular enlargement. So a square as coordinates, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. Its image under an enlargement as coordinates, -3, -3, -6, -3, -6, -6, -3, -6. Determine the center and the scale factor of the enlargement. So we can begin by first drawing the Cartesian plane. Start by first drawing the Cartesian plane, the x and y axis, the x and y axis. So that is what we should start by doing. The vertical axis there, then the horizontal axis is at this point. Let me join it slowly and comfortably. Take your time to come up with a good Cartesian plane. Remember, your accuracy on the Cartesian plane shall dictate the accuracy thereafter. So we go to the y, we label it y-axis, like that, just to make your work presentable. This is point 0, 0, the origin. So we start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Then now we have -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7. Yeah, such a thing. On the other axis, we have -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. Yeah, like that. So we have our axis well labeled and scale properly chosen. So we go to the triangles now. Not triangles. This time round, we've been given a square. This time round, we've been given a square. So we are supposed now to plot the coordinates of this particular square. What do we start with? 1, 1. That is point A. Then 2, 1. That is for B. Then we have 2, 2 for C. And 1, 2 for the coordinate D. That way, we'll join all of them to come up with our square. So here is the square, the original one. We are told that now this particular square, which has been plotted so well, gets enlarged. And after enlargement, we are given the coordinates. So let's check the coordinate of this other square now. -3, -3. So we go to the negatives. -3, -3 shall be this one. We get our A prime at that point, the image of A prime. Then the other one, which is B is going to be -6, -3. So -6, -3 shall be this point. Here we have our B prime. Then there is C, which is a -6, -6. -6, -6. So this is going to be our C prime. And D is -3, -6. This is our D prime. Now we can connect all of them to come up with our square, the image of the first square. Twin. And clearly, from the look of things, we can really see that the first one has been enlarged to give us the second one. So what we'll do after this, we now want to establish the scale factor and also the center for this particular enlargement. So the first thing, we connect a point together with its image. So if it's A, we join A to A prime. Just a straight line. We can dot it. It can be dotted. Because I have different color, I'm using a full one. So A to A prime have been connected. That is a line we are getting. What about B to B prime? When I connect B to B prime, are they meeting anywhere? No. B to B prime connected. You can see B to B prime, then A to A prime are meeting at a point. So where they are meeting, that becomes our center for the enlargement. I told you all of them will just confirm the same thing. So we can do it for D so that you see it is not a must you pick a certain coordinate. It can be any. If you use C, it will still confirm the same thing. So you can see D to D prime, it's confirming. The meeting point is confirmed. Therefore, in this case, we will say that our center of the enlargement, remember, our demand statement here is saying determine the center and scale factor of the enlargement. Therefore, the center has already been identified. This is coordinate 0, 0. That's our center of the enlargement. Then now the next thing shall be determining the scale factor of the enlargement. One thing we are sure about in this particular question is that the scale factor is negative. Negative because when you look at the center, center 0, 0. When you look at the center, then the first triangle is here, the first square, and the second square is at this point. Therefore, they are on opposite sides of the center. They are on opposite sides of the center. Therefore, now, the thing that we are going to consider is how many times is the distance, for example, distance A to the center. How many times is it fitting in the distance, the same center to A prime? So from A to the center, the distance, you lift it using a compass, and you stand at the center. Now you check how many times is it fitting from the center to A prime. So 1, 2, 3. It's fitting 3 times. Therefore, the scale factor is a -3. You start by a negative because of the positioning of image and object. Opposite sides of the center, meaning that scale factor is negative. Yeah, that is A and A prime. You can also consider any other coordinate. If you consider B to be prime, ladies and gentlemen, you will get the same. So you go to the distance from B to the center, then how much or how many times is this particular distance fitting in from the same center to where the image of B is. So using a compass very well, you lift that distance from center to B, then you mark it off. 1, 2, 3. So it's fitting 3 times. A confirmation that indeed the scale factor the scale factor is a -3. So that is it. Thank you so much for turning up. Remember to subscribe to our platform and to also invite friends to the same. Remember our programs here, one-term program for the December holiday, beginning from 20th of November to 12th December. 5 weeks of interaction via Google Meet. Kindly register for the same. Then, something that you're supposed to know is that the candidates mentorship program in mathematics is ongoing. This one is for day school candidates. You are free to attend. Kindly enroll. Our classes are very healthy and interactive. Thank you so much. See you next time.